Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Let's Stand Gamers, and welcome. So in this week's Spotlight, I'm covering something that'll help you with your rover builds. This is the Hillcrest Rover test track, and it features a majority of different test areas, terrains, and it allows you to perfect your rover design from everything from wheel settings to ride height to how it handles different off-road and block terrain. So we're in the build area to start with at the moment. In the build area, you've got various different points where you can access underneath your rover. You've also got these landing gears that will come down and retract up and down with these quick access workstations with markings on them so you know where to place your rover. And they've also got these little jacks that you can raise up and down to work on your rover area. So this is the build area. Over in the build area, we've also got ourselves a welder floor here, so we can fix up any dints and dents that we've done to our rover. And nicely, before we leave this area, we have this sign that says save blueprint before leaving, because the amount of times I'm working on a project and I forget to save it and then I smash it up is unbelievable. So heading up to the obstacle course, we've got another notification, save blueprint before vehicle testing, and we've got various different test ramps. So of course these are going to attempt to see your angle of attack when you're approaching it with a rover. Can it climb at that vertical surface? You've also got steps on this side. You've got various different off-road terrain on here. This would be quite useful for a larger scale rover to see how it handles, and a smaller one as well. And of course we've got a ramp up at the top. So we'll test some of these out with our little truck down there. And we've got some other off-road terrains to test as well. So jumping in this cool little rover, I believe this is one of Zer's trucks, and we've put the dog on the back. You can access it through this little narrow slit. There we go. Okay, so we are going to be quite top heavy because of the dog on the back. So let's test this out. Okay. Oh, so yeah, so with this rover already, it looks like we've got an issue where we're going to get our middle wheel off the ground. Oh, and we get stuck on the back part there as well. So if we want, we need better, more aggressive sort of angles of approach on this vehicle. So a more slanted front and a wheel either further back on the rear of this vehicle would work quite well. So let's have a quick look at our capabilities on some of these other ones. So we should be able to make it up a 2-block slip, if I'm correct. Yeah, we can, just about. And now we can have a look at our suspension settings and see how we bounce over the terrain as well, and what's going to snag on various different obstacles. So you can see we're actually doing pretty well on this. I can feel the rear bumper on this is already going to be something that we'd have to adjust if we want to, but at the same time that bumper is protecting us from smacking the back of the trailer. Of course, this other obstacle here might be a little bit more difficult, but we'll try one of these slopes. I don't think the steps are going to be possible. We need a much tighter wheelbase or a tank sort of design. But for a slope like this, we're quite capable of getting up with a little bit of a scrape on the back. And at the top, we can climb over and we can quite easily go down the other side. So this rover still has a lot of flaws that we could work out, but by using this course, we can perfect the rover even further. So with the obstacle course out the way, we have a few different options when it comes to tracks. And each one of them has been signposted, so you can navigate your way around. And the majority of them have a difficulty rating as well. So this is the Canyon Trail, marked out here in the background. And this one is slightly difficult. It's a lot of up and down, and there's some difficult turns on it. And I like how they've tried to rough up a few of the terrain areas to simulate what it would be like when you're actually trying to climb these ones. You can see the various different ridges in these parts. And yes, it is difficult driving a rover around the voxel terrain, so you might have to smooth some areas out or work out ways of crossing. Coming up here, we've got ourselves a nice bridge that stretches across that area and up into this section. So this is a mountain trail and it's a hard difficulty. Follow beacon signals. So as we're coming up through this terrain, you can see it has a few difficult areas with options to go around. Up into the mountainous area, you of course are relying on the beacons to climb the area. Once you've mastered terrain like this in a rover, you can take it on a server and be quite confident at doing so. So the other trail that we've got here leads us down there, but what I want to do with this one is actually jump inside a rover and see how hard it is for myself. So we've got ourselves our little rover. We're going to fire the guy up. We've got Luther on the roof. Let's make sure we don't hit him on anything else. I feel like the leaving area sign might catch. Hopefully not. Are we just small enough? Oh, the jump nearly sent us right into it. So driving a rover is difficult in SE, and you can see the little undulations in the terrain that are going to make it even more challenging, especially with this top heavy load. We have got gyroscopes on board, so we can move that a little bit. Oh, we've got a low bridge. We've got a low bridge. Oh! Okay, so we might not be able to fit through this area. That's not particularly good, is it? I guess we could leave the dog behind. Let's see if the rotor. How have we connected this thing up? Let's check the merge block. So if we turn our merge block off, there we go. We can leave the dog behind. Sorry, Luther, buddy. And we'll head into the tunnel. So of course, another factor of all this rover exploration in this testing area is hand it to that member of the crew who seems to keep breaking your rovers and say, well, look, there's this lovely test track. Maybe you should, perhaps have a drive around it. So we have got some barriers here to stop you going off the edge. But a lot of the problems come to braking and stopping, as well as some of the lumps in the terrain. So we've got an easy gravel strip. That is just a little bit of terrain here that's bumped up and down. Let's give it a go with the rover. So this was a little bit like the triangle terrain here, but obviously this can be a little bit nasty if we find ourselves on a lump like that. Luckily our rover's got enough to clear it. And we've also got another track that lives down, what's that, a weapons range and valley region. So let's take ourselves a turn back around and we'll head back onto the road. So lots of little areas just like this to test your rover out that I really like the sound of. Let's cut down here. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. Weave your way through here. Oh, that's a little bit of a drop. We made it though. And we've got a lot of paths going off in this area. And that's another signpost in the top, is it? Okay, that is the log obstacle course. Oh, so these are like little lumps. So these will test if your rover does want to bottom out. Very, very cool indeed. Let's cut that there in terms of driving this rover. Let him head off and continue having a look around the track. So we were down here on the log obstacle course. There you go, you can see our rover, and that cuts between these two sections. And you see it's signpost on both sides, and then the road wraps around here. This is a racetrack to the left, and we have the main complex back up there, as well as the firing range down here. So leading into this section, you can see we've got this large bridge segment. We've got the weapons range and the racetrack over to the right. So coming over here, you can see we've got the actual track itself. It's been roughly marked out. You see with these little bits of white chalk for the player to follow around, so that's pretty cool. Of course, if you do crash in this area, since it's quite modest, you've got a little bit of a jump ramp there as well. And then across the bridge, that is a cool long looking bridge design. And then up around the track to a mountain corner, and then down the other side. And as we go down the other side, I believe this is the weapons range. Safety first, firing range, armored penetration testing, PvP combat testing, and survivability test. So of course you've got enter firing position to engage targets. So we've got a little sensor and a button. Let's have a quick look what this does. So what's this? Target groups. Okay. Okay, so is it spawning some beacons over there for us to shoot at? Oh yeah, so these are look like they pop up out the ground. Maybe they pop back down and repair themselves. Oh no, it just... Oh yeah, so it's popping up and down. The little cross on the front. And then as that drops down, it repairs that block back up. So that's quite cool. Various different firing positions to engage it from. And then we've got a little PvP testing area down below. Some more pop-up targets over here. And then we've got this whole other difficult track area. So this is the PvP test area, design area with sand lines. So you can see that's where they want people to fight and roam around. Very difficult sort of terrain to work with, these mountainous places. And I see a lot of players crash on them, especially when the voxels start to deform as they go over bits of terrain. So something to bear in mind. So if you've got a friend who needs a little bit of assistance or practice with his rovers, or maybe yourself need a bit of a rover practice, check out this really cool test track. There's lots of really nice areas that you can discover and roam around with your rover. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.